thank you everybody for gathering here. So I would like to describe the fundamental building blocks of our AI architecture, AI infrastructure that is, that is deployed by NxtGen data center, right? So I would like to start from the very basic in this case, the NxtGen AI infrastructure, right? So can be deployed anywhere. It could start from basic bare metal or virtualization powered cloud solutions. It could range from public clouds, private clouds, and even the edge sites. The NxtGen's AI infrastructure also supports accelerators such as NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, and even the upcoming ones such as IBM Spire, right? So since orchestration is a key thing in this case, we closely work with Red Hat to bring solutions like Red Hat OpenStack platform for orchestrating virtual machines. We do Red Hat OpenShift, including OpenShift container platform as well as the virtualization capabilities of the OpenShift platform. And since storage is a very massive, thing in this, so we use Red Hat Ceph storage or IBM storage Ceph. Additionally, we also work with IBM for their massively parallel file system, which is known as IBM Spectrum Scale. And additionally, all of the platform services are delivered using the Buds ecosystem, which I'll later invite Linson to speak about the platform services. Next up, just like I was speaking, the orchestration capabilities in this case. So we primarily choose Red Hat OpenStack platform, right? So that powers our cloud platform. It doesn't matter if it is a private cloud, public cloud, or a bare metal setup. So which offers seamless access to virtual machines, Kubernetes clusters, and a lot of accelerated workloads. Red Hat OpenShift is again a Kubernetes platform which helps us orchestrate accelerated workloads. It could be containers, virtual machines, right? So it is designed to run AI workloads starting from the development to the deployment. So the storage platform of our choice is Red Hat Storage Ceph or the IBM Storage Ceph, because it delivers block, object as well as shared file system in a single unified system, right? So since the parallel file system is extremely important for the training workloads or inferencing workloads, we make use of IBM Spectrum Scale in this case because it offers high performance and it is extremely scalable for all of the AI training and inferencing cases. Going on to the next one. So this is one fundamental example which talks about how a basic GPU infrastructure is created on top of any server platform. So in this case, there is a specific server platform that is NVIDIA's HGX H200 platform that is running, right? And each and every HGX platform comes with a specific set of GPUs, NICs, right? So it could be H100, H200, L40S for that matter, and it could come with ConnectX cards for the accelerated networking. So starting from the bottom up, so we see there is a compute node and there is an orchestration platform that is running. That is, in this case, it is Red Hat OpenStack compute. It could be OpenShift as well, OpenShift virtualization as well. And by using methods, right, by using methods or technologies like SRIOV, so what we could essentially do is we could pass these GPUs directly onto the virtual machines or containers for that matter, right? So what SRIOV essentially allows us to do is it can pass through entire GPUs directly as a whole to the virtual machines, or we could also do vGPUs and then pass it to the virtual machines. So one of the important things to see here is all of the virtual machines, right? So all of the virtual machines would be obviously in the customer control, and the GPUs or the NIC would be directly visible on the virtual machines, and they could experience a near bare metal performance. With that in place, we should be able to get InfiniBand support directly on the virtual machines with the integrated GPU support. So this will definitely enable us to use these machines for deep learning use cases or accelerated workloads in general. Going on to the next one. So this picture describes one of our large scale training clusters that is powered by H200 platform by NVIDIA. So this entire cluster is again extremely NCP reference architecture compatible. And from the middle, if we could see, so these are H200 platform nodes. So each and every H200 platform node comes with 8 GPUs. So it could be SXM or it could be NVL. And similarly, SXM comes with 8 ConnectX integrated cards and 2 Bluefield 3 DPUs. So the DPU could act in, the DPU could function as a DPU or it could be in a NIC mode, but it comes with a lot of offloading capabilities, right? So if you take a look at the ConnectX, right? So ConnectX operates in InfiniBand mode, and each and every port can experience up to 400 Gbps, right? So there are 8 ports which can experience up to 400 Gbps, and these are again connected to the quantum switches, NVIDIA quantum switches. Right, so we could experience almost up to, right, so 8 into 400 Gbps per node of network performance, east-west. And since parallel file system is extremely important for AI training use cases and in some context the inferencing use cases, we see IBM Spectrum Scale deployed, and IBM Spectrum Scale, the accessibility towards the IBM Spectrum Scale is over RoCE, RDMA over converged Ethernet, and we should be able to experience almost 2 into 200 Gbps per node of RoCE bandwidth. So we were performing certain benchmarks in subset of the nodes, and the benchmarks are written there. I'm not sure if you are able to see that. So the nickel tests yielded around 384.6 GB per second. So we were doing some pre-training on a subset of nodes as well, and we were able to achieve almost 531 teraflops per GPU per second. And since we massively rely on the parallel file system, on a specific set of nodes, we were able to achieve almost 67 GB per second of read and 50 GB per second of write bandwidth. Yeah. So now I'll invite Linson, who is the CSO of Bud ecosystem, to explain about the AI and Clarity.
Yep.
Over to you, Linson.
Thank you, Jens. Thanks a lot. Yep, it's a good pleasure to be here to talk about the togetherness or the working that we are trying to do to convert maybe an infrastructure into a global standard generative AI solution, first time in India. Thank you, NxtGen, and for giving us this opportunity to showcase our capabilities. So if you look at India, why this has been good for us is the massive opportunities around the corner, wherein India is in the forefront of generative AI use cases or adoption, and the market is going to be 58 billion by 2031. And India has been ranked globally second for Gen AI usage or adoptions at this point of time. And you can see any of the IT industry in India is going to be getting benefited out of the generative AI implementation. And all of us know the startup ecosystem which is taking over at this point of time. Yeah, the market is good, but it brings in a lot of challenges for generative AI deployment. And that's what we are going to talk about it, how we are going to address those challenges. The first and the foremost challenges comes in generative AI state-of-art deployment is complex because it needs multiple models, tools, technologies, and architectures. It needs to work together. It's complex, right? That's one of the challenges. The second challenge is the security and the risk involved in it. Most of the industry or most of the companies are actually talking about putting up a kind of a wrapper on top of the large AI cloud and the proprietary models. And that's actually going to bring in a lot of risk, and that's exactly what the challenges the industry is facing today. And the third, as I said, the wrappers. For example, a startup or an enterprise, you have an idea, you actually go and put a wrapper on a large cloud proprietary deployments, and next time, those data of yours becoming training parameters for that particular company, and probably your US space might be eaten away in Zoom. So that's the challenge that we're talking about it. But having said that, do we have an infrastructure which can actually help you deploy a secured infrastructure where you can deploy your solution stack? And that also is not there in India, and probably we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Taking forward from here, and the journey, if you look at it, the open source model is capable, it is actually have an accuracy, it's more TCO enabled, but unfortunately, most of the customers takes the journey towards large cloud model because the challenges involved in for deploying the entire stack. You need to talk about the scalability, you need to talk about the observability, the security, all those is needed when you're talking about open source deployment, and that's the reason why most of them easily goes into a large cloud model or a proprietary deployment. But what at Bud we do is basically, right, we actually create the fundamentals or create the fundamentals for generative AI deployments, wherein all your models as well as the agents and the tools all will be a fundamental platform. They live, learn, and get deployed together, and that's what we're talking about. Think about it, the SAP movement in the global system or the software industry. How they integrated these things together is what the Bud ecosystem is bringing together for you. It makes the open source model deployment much faster, easier, and make sure that the customers can take an advantage on a platform like NxtGen, what Jayant has been just alluded at this point of time. Now, if you look moving forward, what Bud stack is all about, or Bud Foundry stack is all about, if you look at the two layers, what Jayant we talked about, the link layer and the physical layer, and on top of that, the entire layers that required to convert a cloud infrastructure to a generative AI-ready cloud, generative AI infrastructure is what the Bud stack can offer here. And it can be deployed across any hardware, no hardware lock-ins. For example, NxtGen, as we showed, they are partnered to NVIDIA, Intel, or AMD. They can bring in any hardware, and you can just have your deployment on top of it. It can actually bring in the better accuracy and better performance, and I will be able to show some of the data, and you will be thrilled to see that the performance that's been giving compared to a large model deployment on a code generation that we are talking about right now. And just not to take too much of time, to explain those whole capabilities, I'll just run a small video, and I'll show you what that platform is all about. Yep. So this is what the partnership is all about. And now if you look at it, how did we build this? And this shows about the deep integration between NxtGen and the Bud, what we're talking about. Here is where the convergence of intelligence and infrastructure happens. And here is the actual integration happens for the ecosystem. And you may not be able to see anywhere in India this kind of a deployment, and this is the first time in India a cloud service provider is trying to build this and making sure that you have the infrastructure where you can deploy your stack. And the bottom of the pyramid is a place where NxtGen will create the cloud infrastructure which is required, which is secured, which has capability, which has the performance. On top of that is where the Bud comes in and provide the stack which convert that particular infrastructure into a generative AI-ready stack. And if you look at it at the top, the M, you can actually see on the booth, it's all live, real, and is consumable. And you will be the first-time consumable if you can just touch on it and take it forward. And this is what the partnership that we're talking about it, basically. And this is, again, first time in India. Nobody has done it, and we are the first to bring it in India for customers. And you will be the first one to see this at this point of time. Thank you, NxtGen, once again, for putting these visionary thoughts on making sure that we actually can show the path to the global. We can actually have a make in India or made for India and consumed even for global customers. And taking forward, here is what the strength of the partnership that we're talking about it. It's not about that, hey, look, one can do everything by themselves. Need to have strength between the partners, and here is where the Bud partnership or the Bud can bring in the capability on the software layer, and you can see the NxtGen can actually bring in their capability on the cloud infrastructure, which they are doing for last maybe 2 decades. And putting these things together is what the customers can get benefits. Faster deployment, accuracy, performance, and the lower TCO. Taking it forward, because of the time, and here is what we are talking about today, just M for coding. It's actually going to replace an alternate for the Claude Code or an OpenAI Codex or any of the larger solutions that the customers are talking about today. Why it's important? Why India needs this? Yes, India needs this because we have the massive developer community. And we fuel the global development system, but why do you depend upon the global system today? Why can't we have our own systems and the tools? Democratization is important for innovation. Cost structure is important for innovation. So hence, having a tool which is most cost effective is what we are trying to do out of this particular engagement that we are talking about it. And then enterprises and the government visions that we wanted to just make sure that we fulfill it. And that's the reason why you will be able to get a faster deployment solutions, and you will have developers get a better productivity, nothing less than a global solution. And then you have flexibility, affordability, and adaptability on the M for coding powered by Bud Stack. We are welcoming you to the booth. You have a session there, and you can go and experience and feel it, what the solution is all about. And then, moving forward, here is what the fundamentals. Look at it horizontally and vertically on the chart. You have all the global leading models like ChatGPT, and you have it, the DeepSeek, or you have the Kimi K2 Instruct. All of them, if you look at it, and the vertical wise, if you look at it, all of them are the leading benchmark to see the performance. Now, M is actually beating across the spectrum, across a large model. Talking about a trillion model, and then our installation of a CodeGen is actually beating all of them. And that's exactly what the performance that we're talking about it. This is where India shines, and this is the reason why we have our own tools in our hand, and we can take it to the global customers, and our developers can get benefit out of it. Nothing less than a global solution that getting deployed, and most of you might be using Claude, or you might be using ChatGPT. Don't worry, we are in power with them. And if you look at it further chart, right, and here is where we are, the SW base verified, we are in par with Claude. All other models, other implementation, we are beating them at this point of time. You look at any of the benchmark, right? And that's exactly what we're trying to do. But the surprise is affordable price points. Meet us in the booth. You can explore, and they can find it out how exciting this journey would be, and how exciting journey that we can make it for each and every enterprise, startup, and the developers. And that's our vision at this point of time. Taking it forward, finally, Bud and the NxtGen can actually delivering India's first sovereign AI cloud. And that's exactly what we're talking about it. You are free from all the security issues, all the performance issues, all the deployment issues. You can take it forward. We are the trusted GenAI partner. Come to us. We will show a path, deployment, and scale on the data centers, and take it forward from there on a generative AI solutions. You don't have to build a wrapper anymore. You can actually own, and you can actually deploy your own solution stack on a cloud infrastructure. It's a unified stack that we're providing, and then finally, faster to take your product to the market and at a better security and the scalability, no risk. You are the owner of your generative AI applications, and you deploy it, and that's exactly what we are trying to deliver. Thank you very much once again for your time and listening to us. Thank you.